Hey everybody, welcome to the E3 2015, what do we want to call this, our post-show, just our post-conference show. My name is Randy Asenchak. I'm here with former co-hosts of the Game Club and potential future co-hosts of Game Club, Phil and Steve. Phil, go ahead and say hey.
Hi, how are you guys? It's been a very long time. Very long.
Has been a really long time.
Did I don't
It feels nice to do this again.
Yeah, did we even do this? I mean, I know we did it a few years in a row, but did we do this last year? The
We
three of
totally
us?
did. Yeah, we've been
Oh, we
doing this.
did?
We've been doing this for like 4 years now in a row.
Wow.
Yeah, it's
Wow.
been a while. Steve,
God.
say hey.
Hey, hello. It's good to be back.
Damn Skippy. Well, we have a ton of games to go through. Let's just go through them. You know what I'll do for like people who are watching this? I'm gonna try. Please don't kill me if I don't do this. I'm gonna try to actually sync up some video along with the three talking heads to kind of at least give everybody a link to the appropriate conference that we're talking about. So if you happen to miss it, you can go and check it out. But we're gonna go through these conference by conference and then just kind of give our highs and lows and hopefully not make this a too long of a show. But who was first? Was Bethesda first?
Yeah, I think actually in this our show notes here, I think they actually go in order, right?
Oh, badass!
Yeah.
All right, let's do this according to show notes. Bethesda this year, we're going to try to highlight just these games. I don't know if we're going to be getting all of them. Bethesda announced Dishonored 2, Doom 4, Fallout 4, which everybody was kind of expecting to happen anyway, or they had pre-announced that before. Yeah, there was trailers for it before.
Yeah, like a week or so before E3, the trailer got released.
I was on vacation and it came out, and I had like no internet connection, but for like a half a second I snuck aside and watched it. So Fallout 4, Elder Scrolls card game, and then
It's got a proper title. I just forget what it is.
I remember. And then the Fallout Shelter for iOS only, and not Android. Did you guys catch the Bethesda game or the Bethesda show? And if so, what did you guys think?
I thought it was cool. I mean, yeah, this was the first time they did this, right? That was kind of the big deal, like them stepping out on their own and doing their own presentation. I thought it had a pretty good pace to it, the feel. I would actually, I'm going to get ahead of us a little bit and say that they were my favorite of all of the press conferences throughout the week. I felt like they just kind of, it didn't feel stuffy. They just kind of had like a good vibe to the whole thing, and I just really enjoyed it. And even though a lot of the stuff was kind of already known, it was still really cool. And the fact that they came out and announced the Fallout Shelter game, which is supposed to be coming to Android as well soon, but I think they just initially launched on Apple. The fact that they came out and announced that and then said, oh, and by the way, it's going up on the App Store, as soon as we're done here.
Yeah.
I love that. That's one of my favorite things in a press conference is when a company has something like that to do and announce and then just give it to you right away. So, yeah.
I don't know if it was my favorite, but it was definitely one of my favorites. It didn't feel like they wasted any time at all. There was no fluff in their show at all. They kind of went right into it, and they basically gave everybody what they wanted. I'm a little sad that they didn't have one more game to announce, but considering this was their first show, I think they did a great job. The Elder Scroll, I'm sorry, not the Elder Scrolls, but the Fallout 4 Special Edition comes with the Pip-Boy, which I've been seeing some mixed reactions with a lot of people. Some people saying, it's a piece of junk, and then you can
That thing's like
slide
sold out, right? Isn't that like
Oh, did it really?
I think they put up another batch of pre-orders for it today, and they sold out again.
See, they need to
Steve is one of them, right?
I got it that morning,
Nice.
right away. Yeah.
Nice. You see, they should just not even do that as a pre-order thing. They should just sell that, and people will buy it.
Yeah. I'm not a big pre-order guy, and I'm definitely not a big collector's edition guy, but that thing just looked pretty cool. And I liked that they joked about it, and they were like, second screen experiences are usually really stupid and gimmicky. He said something, he's like, yeah, but of all of them, this gimmick is really fucking cool, or something like that. And they had acknowledged it and had a good time with it, and made me want it.
I agree, and you actually bring up a good point. The second screen gimmicky stuff, like I remember 2 years ago, or even might have been 3 years ago, where I was like, oh my gosh, everybody's using second screen stuff, and I was going to be competing with like Wii U, and then nobody did it right. They all turned them into these crappy, apps that were barely functional. But if they can pull this off, and if they can do it where you can like use stim packs and like check out your health and broken limbs and stuff right within your iPhone while you're playing it, that would be amazing. That would be perfect. That would be one of the best companion apps I think anybody could have done.
Yeah, even without being able to, strap it on your arm with the cool-looking Pip-Boy thing. I mean, it would still just be a nice, kind of cool little thing to have. But yeah, and I don't know, Phil. I think you have an iPod Touch, right, or something. But Randy, you don't have an iOS device, so you haven't had a chance probably to play.
Do you need to have an iOS device?
For Fallout Shelter.
For Fallout Shelter,
I was jumping over onto that.
I have a spare iPhone 4, but I don't think it can run on that. I think it actually has a note saying
I think iPhone 5 is the
cutoff on it.
Lowest, yeah, because I have an iPad Mini, the first generation from 2013, and that won't even run it.
Oh,
so
wow!
The cutoff is pretty rough in terms of what you need spec wise. But that said, I have an iPhone 5, and it plays pretty good on there, and I've been, I've spent a lot of time playing that over the last few days.
It looks neat. Phil, what did you? You're not a big PC / I don't want to say console gamer because you're more of a Nintendo gamer than you are.
Yeah,
for the rest
I want
to
I haven't said much, and I feel like I got to get my piece out of the way here before the audience wants to cut my head off. But obviously I haven't recorded anything in a year, and I'm coming at this E3 as a person that definitely enjoys video games. Obviously, I love the medium, but it's very hard for me to follow them these days. I don't have an Xbox. I don't have an Xbox One. I don't have a PS4. I'm a Wii U guy, so my options are limited.
Yeah.
So Bethesda conference, EA, Ubi. I didn't watch any of that stuff.
Oh really? You didn't even watch them at all? Just to see
all right. I listened to I was at work during EA, and I listened to half of it.
Gotcha.
So I couldn't actually watch it, but I had it on. So I did check out Doom 4 because I like Doom.
Yeah.
So Bethesda, I didn't really. I can look at this whole list. I mean, everybody's going to be like, well, this guy's opinion doesn't count. But I can look at this whole list, and I know and this is a good list. I'm sorry, I'm looking over. I have it on another screen.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
And this is a really good. I mean, there's tons of good stuff on here, but I know I just can't play any of it. So
there's so many games too.
So I apologize to the audience. I don't want to be lynched. I don't want to be the guy that's the crabby person. So I'm gonna I'll interject where I feel like I'm useful. So I just wanted to get that out of the way.
I got to admit, just going into this whole E3, I remember even before the show started, I was like, is E3 even necessary? I totally felt like Captain Cranky Pants.
Yeah. I was excited. I was more excited than all of us, I think.
I know. But then when it started going, I was like, man, I really wish I was at E3 this year because it's a big games year. It's not a console year where we're hearing about what processor speed and all that crap is, and we're not hearing about console wars going on. It was just a big games year, and that's And I feel like I don't know. I feel like I'm missing out on a lot by not having been there, but.
Yeah, I actually am. It's not to get too off track here. I was going to go with a friend. I have a friend that lives out there. And funding. I have a lot going on in my life. I have a Disney trip I'm planning with my family, so I could not fly out to his place for 2 days.
Yeah.
But he's out there now, and he's on Facebook posting all these pictures. He met Miyamoto. He got his Zelda sign.
Oh,
I was like, God damn it! I would have been with you. I would have been with you. But whatever. So I'm definitely feeling the shit, man. I wish I was there. But maybe next year.
Yeah, maybe next year. I was the same way. For me, it was I'm right in the middle with work. It was a big production time, and then I took my wife and I took our first real vacation in 7 years or something like that. And then we came back. It was, the end of the production from work, so there was no way I could do E3. Along with all that. But anyway, that's neither here nor there, I guess.
Right. Yeah. I'm sorry. So Bethesda, I have nothing to comment on other than Doom 4. Which I watched. There was a 10-minute gameplay demo.
Yeah.
Which going into it, I'm totally burnt out on first person shooters, and I like Doom. I only watched it because I like Doom, and at first I was just kind of oh man, here we go, and I wasn't feeling it, but I don't know. Within 2-3 minutes, I was into it. I thought it was pretty awesome. It felt more like a Doom game than Doom 3. It seemed faster paced, a little more Quake, I guess.
Yeah.
Or Doom 3 was a little more horror, a little more monster closety. You're going slow whereas this was just it looked like tons of bad guys, imps were everywhere. It looked there wasn't all this banter. It seems like the Marine is by himself. You know, like it looked like Doom, and it looked, graphically. I mean, it looked fucking awesome. Oh, I'm gonna not curse. I'm sorry.
my final say about Bethesda stuff. Dishonored 2, I'm really excited about, but I was sad that they didn't show off any real gameplay. It was just kind of a nothing CGI trailer, but I'm glad to see that it's coming out. Doom 4, I'm with you. It looked more doomy than I thought it was going to be. They just kind of have to. They're going to be walking a tightrope with this one because you're going to have that Doom fan base that's already divided between classic Doom fans and Doom 3 fans who are like, oh, I like the horror-y kind of stuff. And also, I noticed that the chainsaw was all QuickTime event stuff, or like one chainsaw bullet equals one automatic kill. I think I remember seeing that. It was
chainsaw was brutal, man.
Yeah, it wasn't gasoline based like on the old ones.
Real quick, I'm sorry.
Oh, no,
I was just gonna say, as far as Doom as well, did you guys see the leak from the old version of Doom that came out like 2 weeks ago? There was like a leak of like an old version of Doom 4. Garbage. Like,
really?
Watch that and then look at this, and you'll be like, oh my god, thank God, like that was.
Thank goodness they trashed it.
Yeah, that was like total. That was typical dude bro first person stuff. It was not.
Really?
It was not. Yeah, not good. But anyway, go ahead, Randy. I'm sorry.
Oh, and then Fallout 4. I am really impressed with everything that they showed about Fallout 4. I was mentally checked out. I was like, whatever, Fallout. But everything they showed about Fallout looks really, really good, and I can't wait to get my hands on that one. I really think that they're almost kind of gunning for EA's money with building their own little sim kind of scenario within the Fallout world, like designing your own homes and stuff like that, and having your own little neighborhoods that you're defending from raiders and stuff. That kind of gameplay I would really get into in a Fallout type game. An MMO that's not online at all, so that kind of game really, really sings to me. Steve, do you have any final thoughts about Bethesda before we go on to Microsoft?
I'm with you on Fallout 4, man. I'm really excited for that. I loved everything I saw. Played the shit out of 3 in New Vegas, and just really excited for this one. I'm really happy it's coming out this year. Mm-hmm. It's awesome that they really kept that one pretty zipped up for a long time, and to come out and be like, okay, yeah, here it is, and it's coming out in 5 months. That's pretty awesome and pretty rare also these days in
really
things. So I'm pumped for it. Looks awesome.
I bet CD Projekt Red is pooping their britches at the moment, because the last time they released a game was the year that Skyrim came out too. And they lost their Game of the Year, awards to that. Anyway, moving on, Microsoft announced Halo 5 Guardians, which is going to be coming out in 2015, Gears 4 2016, Sea of Thieves, which is a Rare game coming out in 2016. They also said that the Xbox One was going to be backwards compatible through a software update, right?
Yeah,
and
that was cool.
Emulation, yeah.
Yeah, and apparently you don't have to rebuy the games anymore, which was kind of a little slap to the face to Sony there. Tomb Raider 2015, Fallout 4 PC mod support, which is really kind of a neat thing to be bringing on. Then there's the Rare Collection, Cuphead, which I didn't really check out too much about. Fable Legends, Elite Controller coming out, Forza 6, Dark Souls 3, Tacoma, which is going to be by the Gone Home creator. And the Long Home early access is going to be coming there, and then they were the Long Dark.
Yep.
And then the HoloLens support, and all of this looked really good. I don't give a crap about Halo 5, to be honest with you. Halo never really did anything for me. Gears 4 I will probably check out, and on this list, probably the things that I'm most excited for, Dark Souls 3, although it's going to be a new developer, I'm kind of a little...
Oh, it's a new developer?
Yeah, it's apparently been in development for 2 years now. It's not the same developer as the guys who did Bloodborne, but still it could be good. They've got a nice formula down. It might be okay. HoloLens looked ridiculous. And I don't know, I'm kind of excited about the Elite controller.
Well, the Elite controller is awesome aside from that price tag. I think it's like $150.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And can you actually, how modular is it? Like, can I take, the D-pad and switch it with an analog stick? Or, you know what I mean? Or can I just take off the top?
I didn't spend that much time looking at it.
How much can you really break it down?
I think it's more like you can pop off the analog sticks and change them out with different ones and stuff like that. And it's got some crazy stuff on the bottom.
I didn't understand that back stuff. There was those.
I think it's more so you could
triggers.
I saw a prototype of something like this, and I'm almost wondering if they had gotten involved with the people who were doing it. I think I'd seen something about it on NeoGAF maybe a year or two ago, and a guy had actually designed this where basically he had extra triggers. I'm holding my hands like extra triggers here, like under here.
Yeah,
there's like extra triggers, and basically what they do is they press the Y, the B, the X, and the A button for you, so you don't have to take your thumb off the. You don't have to take your thumb off the.
So it's the face buttons on your fingers.
Exactly right.
Yep.
So you can just keep your fingers on the sticks, and you're doing your stuff, and you can use.
Okay. Because then it also has that app where you can customize every button, right? Pretty much too. Like the buttons are fully. All right, that makes sense. Okay.
And
cool.
I'm not saying that that's 100% what it does, but that was my impression from the video I watched, which I think at the time I didn't have the audio all the way up, and it looked very similar to that thing that was on NeoGAF a year or so ago.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Editable buttons, it looks nice. I'll try to throw up some pictures of it for people to check out. It looks very, very, very nice. Yeah. $150 nice? I don't know. I guess that's all depends. Does anybody know how much Steam is going to be asking for their controller?
$50, I think, $50 or $60.
Oh, well then the deal.
Yeah, I'm still not sold on that controller though. I don't know that Steam controller, but that's a discussion for.
If I was going to buy. If I was going to buy a new PC controller, I'd probably just get the Xbox One controller, right?
Yeah, I mean, I've got two of them sitting right here in front of my PC, and I mean,
that's the standard Xbox,
360 controllers,
controllers, and it's not broke, so I don't see any reason to change it up.
I'm using a wired 360 one myself. Yep.
Had it for years. Gosh. The things I really like on this, Cuphead looks awesome as an animator. I mean that game looks insane. Like it's weird because it looks like graphically and like the animation's like so awesome, but like I don't know how fun it will actually be. It actually looks a little janky. It's a very it's like a shooter game, kind of like a Contra, like a Mega Man-ish. I guess it looks like Mega Man. Is the best comparison. So I don't know like how tight it'll be to play it actually, but as far as like the way it looks, and I do really want to play it, like it looks so good. It's got like just like a real old. You didn't see anything from it, Randy?
We did see. We were actually talking about this game before.
This last year. I think we talked about it last year.
Yeah, because it's got like that classic like 1920s to like 50s animation to it. It's pretty sweet. Yeah.
Yeah, and it looks incredible. Go ahead.
I was going to say there's a couple levels that look like they were very like bullet helly-ish.
Oh yeah,
and they looked like a lot of fun. Like it looks like it changes it up.
Yeah, supposedly it's like really boss rush heavy, from what I understand. It's like lots of just kind of like one boss to the next or something. And I think it's going to be like kind of a short game, which I mean is fine. But
nothing wrong with that.
But I totally want to play, and I think it's coming to PC as well. So I'm not I'm not too upset that I don't have.
Quite a few of the games on this list are coming to PC as well.
And can I say that the Rare Collection for $30 is just like this like unbelievable deal? Like the amount of stuff on that disc is just like I don't even like, to me, especially since it comes out like in August, I don't even understand how like this is gonna. Like, it seems impossible to me. Like, it seems like, how is this game going to work? How are they all going to work? Like, they have, like, NES games on there, 64 games on there, Xbox games, and 360 games on, like, and I think even pre-NES stuff, like, whatever their original stuff, for, like, a ZX Spectrum games, probably. Like, I don't know. They're covering so many systems, and I don't know. It just seems crazy to me. Like, I mean, I know it's just emulators or whatever, but I don't know. It's just, that's so much. It's usually a collection. It's usually like you have your arcade games, and it doesn't cover such a like breadth of systems. You know what I mean? And 30 years worth of content. So I don't know. It's just crazy, and you're getting like recent games on this. I mean, recent as far as like 360 games, but you're getting like their whole 360 catalog, plus their Xbox stuff, and I don't know. It's just. It's a crazy deal.
And it's only like $30, right?
Yeah, $30, and it's just insane to think. I mean, especially when, I mean, I know collections, they've been around forever, but in today's age, you would expect like Perfect Dark to just pop up on Xbox One for like $10
or something.
$10 or so. Yeah. So the fact that it's coming, all this stuff's on one disc, it's pretty awesome.
Who knows? It may still materialize in that way.
That actually brings up a discussion for later on when we get into Square's stuff. But
yeah. So unbelievable, like collection. That's like I'm really torn between like PS4 and Xbox. I know I want one of them eventually, and I'm torn, man.
Well, wait until like you see a good bundle come out. I mean, because and there's still a lot of people out there that don't have one of these consoles or another. I would still, if I didn't own a console yet, I would still wait at least another year to see what other games kind of come out.
Yeah, I don't plan on getting one of them like by this Christmas, but definitely like 2016, I'll jump in for sure.
Yeah.
And I feel like they're just trying to give away Xbox Ones, man. Like I think there was just a sale where I forget what retailer had it, but like like a day like after the press conference, like somebody had it for like $300 plus a $50 gift card and came with like games and shit. Like
that's crazy. Yeah, they want units in hand, man, so they can sell games.
Yeah. Yeah.
Any final thoughts before we move on to EA? I thought Microsoft did a good job. I thought it was a good show for them this year.
Yeah, it was pretty good. The HoloLens thing was cool. I enjoyed watching that. I think it's really neat technology. I don't really know what the practical application is yet. Watching the Minecraft thing where he threw the world on the table and it like went up, and the other girl was playing the game and he was watching her in like that 3D space kind of moving around. And the fact that they could put it on the camera so we could see it as well, I thought was pretty neat, assuming it wasn't like fudged or something. But
did you see HoloLens before this at all?
That was my first time seeing it, actually.
They did something else. I can't remember what it was. CES, I think they used HoloLens, or they brought out HoloLens for like the first time, and they're basically trying to build almost like windows within HoloLens, so you can use your desktop to throw Skype on your desktop, and then like if you had other apps or anything like that, you could literally pin them onto your wall in your house. So really, really impressive stuff. HoloLens. I mean, I can, if this takes off, I could totally see myself just emptying an entire room and just having like a desk and a chair just for my HoloLens room, paint it white, and put only blue lights inside, like make it all futuristic-y and stuff. But HoloLens is pretty cool.
Yeah, it looks cool. Yeah, I think Microsoft had probably one of their strongest shows. It was just games. Didn't waste your time with Kinect. Didn't waste your time with Call of Duty. That was their first. Seriously, I think it was the first time Microsoft had never had Call of Duty on stage, at least within.
Well, I was actually my crazy gesturing there was actually about Kinect. I mean, Kinect.
Oh, gone. Oh, yeah. I mean, it's just.
Mean, there was nothing. I mean, last year didn't we have to sit through the Fantasia thing or something? They They made that one walk the Green Mile out onto the stage and then executed it in front of everyone. And now this year pretty much just didn't even mention Kinect.
Yeah, it's dead. And I like the variety. There wasn't too much shootery stuff happening. It was pretty good. Pretty good show.
And I guess when we get to the Windows stuff, the PC gaming one, we can talk a little more. But it sounds like they're kind of getting back into that, but they're very kind of hesitant to say how much they're getting back into it because I guess they don't necessarily want people to not want to get an Xbox because they might be able to play a lot of this stuff on their PC. But I guess we'll get to that later.
Electronic Arts came out with Mass Effect 4 or Mass Effect Andromeda, whatever we want to call it. Star Wars Battlefront, obviously, but they held that off until the end of their show. Need for Speed, Mirror's Edge, Catalyst got some time in the sun as well. They talked a whole lot about a whole lot of sports games.
Pele, man.
Dude, I sent you a link while we were watching it to that Simpsons clip where Pele came out advertising Crest wax paper, and that's exactly what it felt like. Star Wars: The Old Republic, they're bringing on a big expansion for that, and then Unravel, a Little Big Planet look-alike kind of platformer that they're pushing, and then Garden Warfare 2. Also, out of all the press conferences, Electronic Arts was probably the most boring one for me. That was all snores for me. Like Star Wars: The Old Republic, I never really got into that one, so that I really didn't care for. It wasn't enough for me to feel interested enough to go back into it. All the sports stuff. God, they spent so much time just talking about how basketball. Like there was one where they're like, you won't shoot the ball until you release the button, and this is brand new technology. And I'm like, I remember doing that on NCAA on the SNES, man. Like, how is this new? Or even double dribble on the NES. I think you could do that.
Yeah. I mean, they got to do it. They are, they're EA, they're sports. They got to do their sports. I understand it.
Yeah. But Mass Effect Andromeda, that's going to be I'll see it when I see it. I'm excited about them doing a whole new, storyline for it. But Battlefront, Battlefront's on everywhere else. So I don't know. I just said that. Battlefront looks nice. I'm thinking of Microsoft. Battlefront looks nice. I would like to see more non-scripted gameplay of that. I am bothered by DICE's scripted multiplayer gameplay.
I'm bothered by all of it, not just DICE, man. It was so bad this year.
Yeah.
It was the worst it's ever been, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And we can
you mean like when they show online games and they have like the banter going back and forth between like
or even when they're like even when they're like, oh, this is multiplayer gameplay footage. In the case of this, it'll be like two stormtroopers running at the guy who are just politely not shooting at him until like the guy just turns around and shoots at them. Meanwhile, if you're playing this in real life, you're not going to be seeing any stormtroopers that close not shooting at you. You're going to be like, throwing pebbles at each other from across the world. In the case of not to push forward to like Ubisoft, but Ubisoft showed off a lot of the Division, and there was a point in their conference where they were like, "Oh, we got some other players coming up behind us," and they're like, had this awkward like standoff where like one set of shooters was pointing at the other, and they're like, "Well, let's see what they're gonna do." No, that doesn't happen in games. Like if somebody else comes up to you, they're either gonna shoot you or they're not, and it's not like this intense standoff where you have to worry about the value of human lives or how much ammunition you're carrying. So
and maybe the only possible instance where that might happen would be in a game like DayZ or something like that.
Exactly. I mean, it makes for a cinematic display, but it doesn't make for a true representation of the game.
Right, not like a shooter game or something. Right, yeah, exactly.
But EA, again, just bored me to tears.
I didn't even watch EA, to be honest with you. I went and watched the teaser for the Mass Effect game because that was the only one that I found interesting. But I didn't watch the actual press conference. I had no everything I heard about it was that it was boring and no good, and I really didn't have the time to sit down and go back and watch it, so I just skipped it. Battlefront, what I saw looked really cool though. It looks beautiful.
Mirror's Edge looks cool.
Mirror's Edge does look cool. They should have spent more time talking about that and showing that off. That should have been like their big.
I think in the days since then, they've been showing more and talking about it more because I've been seeing stuff on NeoGAF, little threads and stuff about new information coming out. Unfortunately, Mirror's Edge, I just about vomited all over myself.
I forgot
because
about
you're
that.
first person. Yeah.
I'm not. I will never play that. Unfortunately, it looks great. I love it. I love the idea of it. I love the art direction and everything. But yeah, I'll never be able to play that game. I can't even do a let's play.
They cut the supposedly cut all the gunplay out of it, which is cool. So it's just nothing but running and I guess like melee combat. So that's cool.
Yeah, definitely.
I wanted to watch the video for Unravel before this. I forgot because that apparently looked really cool. But
I was unimpressed with it.
Yeah,
it really did look like just kind of a I don't want to call it a ripoff, but it looked like a ripoff of Little Big Planet. Like that same sort of faux realistic art style. And they were 2D. Saying it's going to be like nothing you've ever seen before, and here it was, just a 2D platformer with physics-based stuff. It's like we've seen this before. This is not new. So, yeah. Oh, well, right. Any final thoughts on EA before we hit up Ubisoft?
Not really. Mass Effect. Hopefully it's good. I don't know.
Yeah. Ubisoft came out and they announced South Park Fractured Butthole, which you guys didn't get that joke until we started talking about the show
20 minutes ago.
That's pretty great.
Rainbow Six Fractured Butthole. Rainbow Six.
I look at this Ubi lineup and I'm just like, oh, I'm so glad I didn't waste 2 hours watching this bullshit.
But you know what? I was actually thinking about this when I was walking around, and I'll go back into the list. I was thinking about this before we did the show, and I think Ubisoft needs to kind of shift their focus. Ubisoft does wacky really well. They do good wacky. Like South Park was great.
Right.
There was that Far Cry Blood Dragon.
Yeah.
That was amazing. All of their Trials Fusion games are great, and Trials Fusion has an awesome level max DLC coming out, and that also looks really good. I mean, Ubisoft does good wacky, and I think they need to focus more on doing wacky kind of stuff. Their serious stuff, they always Assassin's Creed it up, and
yeah. Well, they're kind of like in different, like you've got Assassin's Creed Ubisoft, you've got Tom Clancy Ubisoft, and then you've got the rest of the Ubisoft.
The Anno 22, the Anno like Ubisoft, who are like they're off in their own little world.
Yeah,
you know?
that's like one office with like 6 people in it, like somewhere in the world. And then you get Just Dance.
Wait, in parentheses here, it's a streaming service. So Just Dance is like a whole.
So they're gonna have a new thing
like Netflix,
now.
basically.
It'll be more like
Spotify. Yeah, you'll have like you'll be able to like add new music and stuff. Through Just Dance. I don't think they announced a price or anything yet.
So I guess that'll last forever. So that's like an eternity. Like there probably won't be a Just Dance 2017.
Well, there will, but it will the streaming service will just carry through to that.
Yeah, it is a brilliant idea, and I think that more games need to do this because like. Well, actually, Sony, not pushing forward into Sony's thing, but Sony was saying, like, hey, we're actually now going to support streaming because people stream music all the time when you're playing. But it's good that a game is actually adopting it. Other games could definitely use this kind of thing. GTA, for example, would benefit from a big streaming service. But for Just Dance to have a streaming service makes their game infinitely playable, which is great. But anyway, other games that they announced, South Park, Fractured Butthole, Rainbow Six Siege, Assassin's Creed London, For Honor. That's not what it's called, but that's what I'm calling it. It's so much easier to just refer to where they are.
Assassin's Creed London's not really called Assassin's Creed. What's it called?
No, it's called like the Syndicate or something like that. It just takes place. This one.
I really thought it was Assassin's Creed London. I was like, all right.
They do need to start calling them by city name. I think that would make so much. Everybody would remember it better. Oh, do you remember the one in London? It was called Assassin's Creed London.
What's For Honor? What's For Honor?
For Honor looks really nice. They're going for chivalry's kind of bucks. It's this multiplayer medieval dueling game, basically.
All right.
Yeah.
Where you duel with the right analog stick.
Yeah, it looked pretty neat.
Cool.
It is single player too. It does have a single player campaign. It's not strictly multiplayer. Yeah, but there was the demo they showed was the emphasis was on multiplayer, and it's very very much geared towards like sword play and like so there's some way the designer guy was explaining like basically it has this weird control scheme where basically you go into like stance mode and then the right stick becomes you like swinging your sword and or using your shield and your sword together using the thumbsticks kind of so it's a bit more
so like Punch Out almost
kind of it's just like a different way of controlling rather than just kind of like mashing the A button to do all your sword slashes or whatever. It actually makes you have to kind of be a little more tactical in the way you fight. It looked really cool. I was happy to see them show off a new IP and for it to be something that actually looked pretty neat and different. So that was I felt like a pretty good plus for Ubisoft.
That's cool.
They also announced The Crew Wild Run, which I can't remember if that was a DLC for The Crew or if that was its own game. I think it's a DLC. Trials Fusion, awesome level max DLC for Trials Fusion, which if you haven't played Trials Fusion, that is a great game. The Division, which they're saying is going to announce in 2016, which I'm going to say here, boy, that they dialed back the graphics on that big time. Big time.
Yeah.
And good for them because they got a lot of shit from Watch Dogs, Ghost Recon Wildlands, Anno 2205, and then Just Dance 2016. All right, Steve, go ahead. Give us your spiel. There's a lot to talk about with Ubisoft.
The Division. How is this game not out already? I mean, Jesus Christ! This better be the biggest game.
Is this the second or third E3 for the Division?
I think it's like the third. This is the third, yeah.
It's the third E3?
This game better have more content than World of Warcraft currently has after 10 years for it to have taken this goddamn long. Either that or the only other explanation is that the game is just a total mess. And it can only be shown in these very vertical slices of what we're getting.
God, it sounds like you're talking about The Last Guardian.
No, Last Guardian actually looked good.
We'll get to that.
But I just mean as far as a game that's been 10 years away. Like, think about everything you just said.
I like the idea of the Division. I think it's a neat concept, and I do like Tom Clancy games, so I'm hoping that it's a new kind of entry to the Tom Clancy universe. I'm hoping that it will be neat and come together, but I'm super skeptical of it. They've seemed to have shown that I've seen, at least in the press conferences, over these past E3s, the multiplayer demo you were talking about earlier with the really cheesy, kind of like scripted, like this is how gamers talk to each other over voice chat kind of stuff, was almost verbatim the exact same one they showed last year of a multiplayer kind of thing where people were walking through the city and then they ran into a firefight. It was almost the exact same thing.
And it was almost the exact same one that actually Destiny used when they showed off their first, gameplay of that, where they're like, we ran into another fire team out here.
Right.
It doesn't even matter. In Destiny, it doesn't matter. You can run into people all the time. You couldn't even shoot each other, so there was no threat value at all.
You just point at each other and then you dance, and then you warp back to the tower, and that's it.
Anyway, back to Ubisoft.
If you even played Destiny, that probably isn't as funny. But so I'm super skeptical about this game. I was really expecting them to come out and be like, yeah, it's coming out this year, but then they're like, spring 2016. I'm like, okay, so that means maybe that's like an optimistic projection right now, saying spring 2016. I wouldn't not be surprised to see it get pushed back to holiday. And when you've got a game that's been shown 3 times now, and you're still that far out, I don't know. Very, very skeptical of that one.
Yeah. Anno 2205. The Anno series is really good. It surprisingly feels like I don't know how things run at Ubisoft, but it does not feel like Ubisoft really has much of a say, and it feels like that's a developer-driven kind of game and not necessarily like a publisher-driven kind of game. The Crew Wild Run can go to hell. The Crew is just a horrible game. And out of all this list, the only one that I can honestly say that I'm excited for at all anymore is maybe South Park. And I was a huge Assassin's Creed fan, man, but they have burned me out on Assassin's Creed. And I was
wondering when it would happen.
I liked the last one. I really did. I liked Assassin's Creed France. But
is that Unity?
Unity.
But what was funny floating eyeballs and stuff.
Yeah, and what's funny is, and I still feel bad about this because I didn't get any of that stuff when I did my playthrough, and then like when I posted my review, there were like all these, the game's a glitchy pile of crap, and I'm like.
You played it exactly the way it was supposed to be played.
Yeah, and then I looked like a giant liar or something like that. Meanwhile, people are posting these hilarious screenshots. But anyway, I don't know. All of this yearly like releasing of Assassin's Creed, and now this, the big thing they added with this one is like a bat claw, and it was like, come on, guys, just
he grapples.
Give it a break for a year or two. Just stop. At least there was that. At least Ubisoft didn't announce another Assassin's Creed game.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Rainbow Six looks pretty cool. I mean, it's been a while since we've had a Rainbow Six game, I mean, the Vegas games were okay. I liked them. They were pretty fun. I mean, I really miss like the old the Raven Shield, like that time in Rainbow Six. So, so we'll see. And the Ghost Recon was a cool reveal. Ghost Recon.
Yep.
Once one of my favorite franchises of all time, Ghost Recon, has been tarnished a bit over the last console generation. From the beginning, it started out pretty promising with Graw, and then it kind of went downhill over the 360's lifespan. So we'll see. This one looked kind of neat. I'm cautiously optimistic about it.
Yeah. These are all like basically Ubisoft is. We'll all believe it when we see it. Basically,
Yeah, and unfortunately, they've done that to themselves over the last few years. They've kind of just kind of tarnished their own reputation a bit. But they can get some back. I would like that.
Any final? Oh, go ahead, Phil.
I was gonna say this whole list is basically like 2016 as well.
Yeah, yeah.
Minus that DLC stuff and Assassin's Creed and Rainbow Six.
Well, last year they released like 2 Assassin's Creed games, all like on the same day, like on multiple. They shot themselves in the foot last year. They dumped way too many games into Christmas last year, and they should have spread them out, but didn't.
Did Assassin's Creed Prince of Persia come out yet? That like 2D one.
Yeah, it wasn't that great.
That already happened.
It was okay. It wasn't great. Like okay at best. Like, you know, it wasn't horrible. It wasn't a glitchy piece, but it wasn't fun either. Like, Mark of the Ninja, vastly superior game.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sony popped. Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna one more thing about Ubisoft, which was funny. I was actually watching it with my wife, and what's his name? Jason Derulo came out on stage, and he's out there dancing around and singing and doing the whole act. And she's watching. She's like, who is this for? You know, because my wife, she doesn't really follow this stuff, but she was just kind of watching it because whatever. She's like, I don't understand who in the audience this is supposed to be for, because they all look like guys like your age, you know, like people somewhere between mid-20s and like early 40s, and it's like, I don't get this at all. It was just, there wasn't much of that this year where there's just that severely out of touch moment, but that was like kind of the big shining star, I felt like, in terms of awkward, weird stuff that just felt out of place at E3.
Yeah.
Anyway,
yeah. Sorry. No, I agree. Sony announced the Destiny DLC. Steve, just real quick, is that... I can't remember. You bought like the season pass for Destiny, right?
I did, yeah.
Does that include this upcoming DLC?
No, this is a new standard. There's been a bunch of stuff that's kind of come out about this, and like the pricing and the structure and everything, and it's I don't know all the details. There was, and I hate to keep saying this, but there was a thread about it on NeoGAF, and there's a lot more information there as far as what's going on. I know right now, if you try to even pre-order the DLC through the Sony store, the only thing that's available is an $80 version.
What?
That basically includes the new pack, the full game, and the previous 2 packs, and then a bunch of extra stuff. So basically, you have to re-buy the entire thing right now to get it. And that's just how it is right now. I'm sure it's probably just something is goofy and they're going to fix it.
Right.
But I think the actual price is going to be around $40. And quite frankly, I mean, we played the shit out of Destiny last year when it launched. Mm-hmm. Randy and I were on, I think, every night for about 2.5 months straight playing that game. Yeah. And I just, after seeing what came out with the expansions afterwards and not being someone that was really able to do the raids, I don't really see the point. I don't see enough value in the $40 to buy another DLC pack for the game.
Yeah.
Now, I'm sure for people who are still way into it and raiding, I'm sure it's great. But for me personally, I'm just kind of like, I think I'm good on Destiny until Destiny 2, the proper sequel, comes out, you know?
Yeah. They definitely focused a little too hard on the rating. COD Blops 3 was announced. Shenmue 3, which came out as a Kickstarter project and then like funded within a day.
Such a weird thing. So
I've never played Shenmue 1 or 2. First,
let me explain that I am very excited that this is happening. Mm-hmm. That Shenmue 3 is happening. I played both of them. I'm a fan. It's one of the best games.
Or the best worst games.
Yeah, it's like you said you never played it, and it's like really hard for me to be like, you gotta play Shenmue. It's like really hard for me to say that, and especially now because it's probably very, very outdated. You know, unique at the time. This memory I have of playing the original Shenmue, and let me tell you, like Shenmue, I bought that game before I even had a Dreamcast. Like that's how pumped I was for this game.
Yeah.
I remember I bought that and Final Fantasy IX the same day. And they may have even came out on the same day. Anyway, so I remember I was playing it. I was sitting there for like 2 hours, and I'm just like, man, when's this game going to start? And then like then it dawned on me. I was like, oh, this is the game. Like this is what you do. Like it's a weird game. But anyway, it's just so weird for Sony to come out and be like, here's a Kickstarter for a game.
Yeah,
a game of this caliber. Yeah, it's just such a weird thing. And then the goal is $2 million, which really is nothing. Like that's clearly not the budget for this game. Mm-hmm. So it's like,
especially since Shenmue 2 was like one of the top 10 most expensive games like of all time, I think.
Yeah, well, definitely the first one.
Oh, really? It was the first one that was more expensive?
Yeah, because the second one was probably cheaper because they're just reusing a bunch of assets and all that stuff. The technology was already all developed, and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I don't know. It just kind of rubbed me the wrong way, you know? Like, it's just weird for this such a giant corporation. That E3 event they had probably cost $2 million. You know what I mean? Like,
it was almost like a free way for them to get massive audience barometer as to their interest into another Shenmue game. Hey, let's not prove to fund this unless fans actually say they definitely want us, and not some online stupid petition. Let's have them put their money where their mouth is.
Right, and then like supposedly the story today was like Sony's officially backing it. Their money's going into it. It's like, that's great, but Sony should have, if Sony really truly believed in Shenmue 3, they would have just been like, this is our fucking game. We are I just cursed. And we're taking this over, and there's gonna be no Kickstarter, and we're making this game, you know what I mean? And it's just so weird to come out and ask people for money, or like right up front for that. It's just such a strange thing to me. I don't know. Like, I just feel like a company like Sony shouldn't be doing that. But at the same time, I'm like, I'm ecstatic that this exists. It's great. It's just weird, and I did not contribute to this Kickstarter because I knew it would be funded, and I'll play it one day when I feel like playing it.
You're right. It is an odd thing for them to do, and I think what's even odder is like, I'm glad this is going to be coming out. I think the market needs a game like, something as odd as what you described Shenmue to be. But at the same time, like, when people power up that game, and like, you're going through the developer logos and stuff, I'm sure Sony's name is going to be right there, but I doubt there's going to be a sign that says before Sony's name, funded by fans or something like that.
You know what's interesting about this too, Sony? Like, I actually would have expected Microsoft to do this because it's Sony's fault. This is Sony's fault that Shenmue 3 didn't exist. If PS2 didn't destroy the Dreamcast, we would have had Shenmue 3 on Dreamcast all these years ago if Sony didn't destroy them. So this is their fault.
That's funny. Any more Shenmue thoughts before we move on the list?
No. Good for Shenmue fans. That's
good for Shenmue fans. It's exactly. Last Guardian is officially coming out again.
Another so the trifecta, and to skip ahead a little bit here, Final Fantasy VII. Like, the trifecta is like, it's like the trifecta is so good, but it's so weird.
The games that should have been coming out a long time ago but never did.
And everybody's like, listen. Last Guardian was the best thing they showed. I was glued to my TV when it was on. Like, I was doing dishes when the Sony thing was on, and I was like looking here and there. But like, as soon as Last Guardian started, I dropped everything I was doing. I loved it. I was like, this is amazing. This is great. But I don't believe it's coming. I don't believe it's coming out in 2016, and I still feel like, what happened to this game? Is this game like, are they resurrecting it from the dead because of the demand? Is it going to be good? Was there there was obviously a reason it didn't come out? Was it, are they fixing what went wrong? Like, I just feel like there's so many questions about The Last Guardian that, like, I'm not, even though I think it looked great and I'm excited, I'm not going to like throw myself at it like everybody else because I'm very skeptical of it. Yeah. And I don't think it's, was it playable at the show? I don't even think it was playable, right?
No.
So to me, this game's still not coming out.
I think that's honestly a healthy attitude to take towards it. And the funny thing is, and this happened with another game that we're going to be going on the list, but there was a lot of comments that came out about The Last Guardian saying like, oh, it looks like it was on a last gen platform still, and it was the same thing with.
It does, but it looks good though. I mean.
Yeah, and the same thing with Star Fox Zero. Everybody said, oh, it looks like it was done on an N64. I don't care as long as they're fun games.
Yeah.
I don't think that I didn't play Shadow of the Colossus because it had amazing graphics. I played it because it was a really fun game. I still play that game because it was a really fun game. I don't care what it looks like. I care what it plays like. In these kind of regards, for these specific games, I think graphics can take a backseat for a little bit, as long as it's a quality game.
But at the same time, as much as graphics can take a backseat, this is a 10-year-old game, and it obviously hasn't changed. Like, when people were saying Last Guardian was going to show, because I think it was rumored that it was definitely going to show or whatever right before Sony went on. Like, my thought was, this is going to look like this is going to be a totally different game. Like, like when Duke Nukem Forever came back, and it's like, oh, this is not the same. Like, that was what I was expecting, and it's like, well, this is the same exact game. So this is a 10-year-old. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I mean, I'm excited, but it's just a weird. It's a weird thing, man.
Yeah. Yeah, Steve, any thoughts on Last Guardian, dude?
Pretty much everything you guys said. I feel the same way. I mean, yeah, it doesn't look great, but I'm sorry. It looks good, but it doesn't look like a next gen game, which I guess is what people are getting at.
Current gen.
But also, I mean, I feel, whatever, But I feel like the line's blurred anyway at this point between the way games look. I mean, I don't see a whole lot that looks that blows me away from the difference from PS3 to PS4, 360
I
to
think it's
Xbox
getting there
One.
though. This was the first year
getting
where I
there.
was looking at these games. I was like, all right, these games look
Good.
pretty this is like
It's definitely
we can
getting
see
there.
a difference,
Up until now, it's really just been that it's running at a higher resolution.
Yeah.
And that so far, for the most part, that's not every game. I don't mean I mean across the board. Mostly. Right. So I think that's kind of where some of that comes from. And I think, you're not seeing a finished product. I think that it'll still, they still have time. They can put in more effects and lighting and whatever. But I mean, you go back and look at some original footage of Eco, and I mean, compare it to this. And I think people will be surprised. Maybe people are looking at the version that came out on PS3 and kind of it's altering their memory of what that game actually looked like. So if you want to compare it to that, or even to the original Shadows, I mean, that game had serious frame rate issues and wasn't exactly a beautiful game. It was
Shadow
beautiful
of the
way, but
that's a game that probably should have skipped PS2 and like PS3 launch game. Like
I agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree with that.
We'll see. But I'm with you. I mean, who knows if we'll ever really play it at this point? Because
I'll burn through the rest of this list and we'll catch up on the ones that we feel like are worthy of talking about, because there's a couple in here I know we want to talk about. FF7 remake.
I feel like, all right, go through the whole list. I was gonna say
Uncharted 4, Horizon, Dreams by Media Molecule, Kingdom Hearts, Batman Arkham Knight, Firewatch, again, that kind of neat looking game. Digital Devolver is releasing 4 games. What was that one? You know what? I'll ask later. Persona 5, which I'm very excited about, and Morpheus with a question.
Which was just like a blip, basically, on their radar.
Yeah, they showed Morpheus for like a minute. They showed Morpheus, right?
I guess because how do you show it? How do you go up there and be like, this is the future? You know what I mean? Like, the only way they could do that is, remember the year, like the 3DS year, where at the end Nintendo was like, here's the 3DSs, and they invited everybody up. I mean, we couldn't see that, but like that, they would have to have done like that. Here's Morpheus, and then they had like 10 Morpheus or 20 units up there for everybody to just test out. Like, how do you show that?
It felt more like it was just like them putting it out there for investors and press to be like, because of all the VR buzz with Oculus and everything, just to be like, oh, here's our VR thing too, we're working on it, so just here it is, and then moved on.
I expected a lot more VR in general. Maybe I should say this for like a final thought, but I expected like a lot more VR in general at all these shows, and it wasn't as heavy as I had thought it was going to be.
I'm glad that they didn't go like crazy VR heavy. It was neat, the stuff that they showed, but I'm glad that it wasn't like their focus.
Yeah. VR to me, if I'm allowed to just like go on a little side thing here.
Go, because Sony actually has a VR thing that they're toting, so this is appropriate.
Right. I mean, like stuff like stuff like Morpheus, obviously they want that to be in the home, but like Oculus, they're saying you need this expensive PC to run it or whatever. Like, I feel like VR is going to, and especially that Steam or that Valve one where you have to take up like an entire room for this VR thing. Yeah. I feel like VR is going to like revive like arcades. Is that like weird? Is that a weird thing to say?
You mean like because people wouldn't be able to afford it necessarily at home, but they would go somewhere to actually play it?
And these aren't experiences that like you can't have at home. So maybe you go to some VR place and it's just a bunch of VR stuff. And there's VR rooms.
A VR cave.
Hang out.
It's a great idea.
Yeah, like a Dave & Buster's has just like a whole like VR. Like, I feel like that's the future of VR for now, because you can't, especially the Valve thing, you can't, and you said it yourself, Randy, like, I want a room in my house for the HoloLens. And it's just like, can you really have a room in your house for this? And this is what these people want you to do. So it's like, maybe you go somewhere and you do the HoloLens at some place and it's like a holodeck. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I feel like that's where VR has to be. It's to me, it's not ready for like home consumer use. I feel like
we're getting there, though. I think this is a good step.
Yeah, and maybe I'm completely wrong with that thought, but I don't know. especially like VR porn, dude. You have like a VR porn place you go to. I'm not even joking about because you know everybody's gonna make VR porn. So like, you know, you have your VR porn place that people go to. Like, I don't know. It just seems like
It'll happen.
yeah. I'm sorry.
Give it time.
I weirded out Steve.
We did. Steve's like,
yeah. He's like, what are you talking about? I don't know. I'm just saying. Like, I just feel like that's where VR will not be in the house. It'll be someplace else.
It'll be in the house. There will be plenty of early adopters, I think, with as many people as excited about Oculus as there are, and with the backing by Facebook, it'll get the PR that it needs to get in people's homes.
Everybody probably thinks I'm the biggest idiot right now, but I don't know.
I think the test will be, I mean, how many homes can they get it in at the cost? Like you said, early adopters, but that's usually a very niche kind of group. And then it becomes the problem of, for the people producing the content, is like, is it worth the financial investment to produce content for this when only a small percentage of people can afford to have it in their homes? And I mean, we see that all the time. We see that with 3D TV content. We see that with 4K TV content or movies, you know, and it's something that happens all the time. And that's really kind of the hurdle you have to get over, I think. And if they can do that, then it will, you know, really work out. Otherwise, it kind of becomes like a theme parky kind of thing, like you were saying, Phil. And then it's like, you know, you go to the VR thing at Disney Quest or whatever.
Right.
Let's roll it back real quick to at least Uncharted 4. I mean, we definitely got to talk about Uncharted 4. I thought it was...
We got to talk about FF7 Remake.
We also do have to talk about FF7 Remake. FF7 Remake finally announced. I'm very excited about it. All they had to do was play like those 7 notes from that song. You know, like that was it for me, man. I got the tinglies on my arm from that one.
I've been playing a ton of Theatrhythm for DS, so it's like Final Fantasy songs. And I'm like that game has like got me like super jonesing to like want to play like a Final Fantasy game, like a real one.
Yeah.
So yeah, seeing like the Final Fantasy 7 like trailer, I was definitely like I was getting the tinglies a little bit. But again, it's like, when's that coming out?
Well,
you know, like that will never come out.
It will come out, but it'll be a while because I mean, here's I
don't even think is that really even. I'm sorry, is that even like 2017? Like that's not even like.
No, they don't. I will bet 2018. To be honest, I would say 2018, because they were even saying that somebody had asked Square, like, hey, you know, you guys were talking about doing the FF7 PC version on PlayStation 4, and they're like, oh yeah, we're still totally doing that. That's coming out next year. So they're still going to be releasing the PC version of Final Fantasy 7 on the PlayStation 4, and then they're going to be selling the FF7 remake. So considering we have like no real screenshots, this was just a nothing trailer, like a CGI trailer. We have no screenshots, we have no gameplay. It seems like it's still very, very much like in the early stages of development. So I'm thinking a couple years off, especially since it's a Final Fantasy game, for Christ's sakes. It's going to take forever.
I feel like no one's probably even making this right now. Like there's, you know what I mean? Like there's probably like they literally were just like, the trailer. Yeah, they're just like, make the trailer. We know we want to make this game. And maybe there's obviously some guys like plotting the development, how it's going to work. But like, I doubt there's any like code in place for this game yet. You know what I mean? Like it just seems so far away.
My big fears about this game, I have a couple of big fears. One, voice acting could totally suck. I mean, they've come a long way since Final Fantasy X.
I'm not worried about that.
The voice acting might be good, but the voice acting might ruin it for some people. You know, because your idea of what you think Cloud should sound like might not be what Cloud actually ends up sounding like.
Well, Cloud already has a voice. He's already talked a lot.
Oh, yeah. True. Okay, 2, they might wrap in a whole lot of the really crappy like sequels / spin-offs into this little universe. So Crisis Core and Advent Children, a lot of that stuff that was pretty subpar might have a heavier influence on this remake of the game. And then finally, FF7, a lot of people really liked it, but the translation wasn't so hot, and that vagueness it sort of added to the appeal. So by them retranslating it and redoing a lot of this, it might actually ruin it for a lot of people. So
I wonder how they're going to handle a lot of like the goofy like charm of Final Fantasy VII, like Cloud getting dressed in a dress. And,
they said it's still going to be him.
Yeah, and just all
they
that,
said he was going to be fabulous.
it's just like I just wonder, because Cloud, like you see him in that teaser, and he's probably gonna look like how he looks in Advent Children or whatever. But like, it's just weird to picture that Cloud, like here he is in his dress, like I just wonder how they're gonna pull it off, because in Final Fantasy VII, they got like those little super deformed models, the little SD guys, and they're just doing these goofy, wacky things, and it works for like these weird little 5-polygon men. But yeah, I just wonder how that stuff will be pulled off.
Yeah,
like and it'll probably be pretty super. Not that Final Fantasy VII was obviously pretty serious for its time, but it still had that like a goofy quality to it. I wonder. I mean, I think they can do it. Like Kojima still manages to do it with the Metal Gear games. They still have that goofy side to them, and they look very real and serious. So, I mean, I think they could pull it off. It'll just be interesting to see it.
Yeah, I'm scare roused.
Yeah.
So, what about Uncharted 4? What do you guys think about that?
I thought it looked. I mean. Oh really? You're snoring? I thought it looked neat.
No, it looked cool. The graphics were incredible. I mean, it looked.
I hope Sully is player 2, because people will fight over playing as Sully, much like people will fight over playing as Luigi. I would much rather be Sully than Drake.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, there was something. I mean, I loved Uncharted. Uncharted 3, I didn't really like. I felt very burned out after Uncharted 3. I was like, I feel like I've had enough Uncharted in my life. And then 4, I was getting pretty pumped as it was going. But then, like, as soon as the gunplay broke out, I was just, I don't know. I was just like, I don't care.
I think the gunplay was really the weakest part of Uncharted 3, and there was just so much of it, in Uncharted 3. And I think that's probably where that reaction came, because I had a similar feeling, and I think that could be where that comes from. I did notice that it seemed like they toned it down a little bit in that demo, the gunplay. It didn't last very long.
Then it just turned into chase pretty quick.
Yeah, and then and that looked like a lot of fun. That looked great. Obviously, there was that one moment where the demo kind of glitched out and they had to like restart it.
Oh, I felt so bad for them.
Those guys were just like shitting their pants. Yeah.
I can't imagine what that feels like. Yeah, it's gotta be awful.
Product you're working on for months and months, and then their test unit that they have on the stage just craps out on them, or whatever happened for that.
Yeah, who knows? I mean, yeah, but I'm sure in some ways it's at least then it's like a real thing. It's not like a pre-rendered.
Yeah, exactly.
The guys at the controller like pretending to play along.
Yeah.
I just thought it was funny because they were like, this next game needs no introduction, and then the game didn't work. And it was like, well, clearly it doesn't need a player either. It's just.
Yeah, I mean, graphically it looks incredible, but it's not a system seller for me. Like,
no,
the first Uncharted was. The very first Uncharted was a system seller to me. Like, I can remember seeing that demo and just being like, oh my god, like I can't believe this is a real game. And that was one of the reasons I bought the PS3 originally. I was like, I gotta have Uncharted, and I loved it when it came out. So I mean, I'm big on Uncharted, but 4 is not selling me on the system. But if I get a PS4 eventually, I'm sure I will end up with Uncharted 4. I mean,
I'm real ready to see Naughty Dog do something besides Uncharted and The Last of Us. Hopefully, maybe it sounds like they're wrapping it up a bit with 4. At least they're wrapping up Nathan Drake's story, whatever the hell that means. It sounds very, very Metal Gear-ish.
Complexities of Nathan Drake.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, come on, he's Indiana Jones.
Whatever that means. But I'd like to see Naughty Dog, and unfortunately, I mean, it's already pretty much been confirmed without being announced that Last of Us 2 is in development. And while I love The Last of Us and I love Uncharted, I just want to see something new from Naughty Dog. I whatever that is, I would just such a talented company, and to see them kind of like stuck in one or two franchises is kind of a bummer. I'd like to see more.
And no one does like cinematics like they do. Like they're just so far above everybody. It's crazy.
Yeah. I'm almost sad that they're going to be working on a Last of Us 2, to be honest with you. Last of Us felt like a good perfect little world that they built just for that one story, and I kind of don't need to do any more zombies for a while of any type, whether they're spore zombies or actually, whatever zombie. I'm good for a while.
Yeah.
Any more thoughts on Sony stuff before we change gears to Nintendo?
Horizon.
Okay.
I'd like to mention Horizon.
Go for it.
Horizon was the for me personally, that was the game I saw out of Sony that I was the most excited for from that conference. I think that game looks fantastic. It's Guerrilla Games. They're finally shedding themselves of Killzone. Speaking of kind of what I was just saying about Naughty Dog a second ago, they're finally just letting it go. Like, just let's just let it go and do something new. And
I felt bad for. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
No.
I
was just gonna say I felt bad for the developer when he was on stage because he was just like, after 10 years, we finally get to basically we finally get to move on from Killzone.
I feel like I feel like some of the maybe like conceptual art from this game had leaked at one point a while back, because the stuff with like the robotic dinosaurs and stuff, I feel like I had seen that before in like concept artwork or something that had been out maybe 6 months or so ago, but no one really knew what it was or who it was that was working on it. So it seemed I knew it was for PlayStation. That's the only thing I remember about it. But yeah, I mean, at first you're watching the thing, it kind of, the setup was that it was like prehistoric Earth and everything, but then you realize that they're actually, post-apocalyptic, like way post-apocalyptic after civilization is kind of just gone and starting to rebuild itself in these new prehistoric times. And then you see the robots that they're tracking, and the animals are these like biomechanical creatures that were most likely created by the people that destroyed themselves. And man, it just looked awesome. The gameplay looked fun. Graphics were phenomenal. I'm really excited for that one. 2016 again, another one. It's a little bit of a bummer that it's so far out. I would love to have seen them come out and drop that one and be like, holiday,
But you know what, though? At least there's going to be good games that we know coming out for 2016, or at least potentially good games for 2016, because 2015 already has had a phenomenal year. If we don't get another good game for the rest of the year, I could still say 2015 has been one of the strongest years in gaming in recent memory. But yeah, Horizon looks pretty darn great. I was interested in like the type of gameplay that you had to do, or that they showed off for like actually taking down that big dinosaur. Like, you kind of hope that it keeps that, like, you got to be accurate, you got to be agile at the same time, and not just a bullet sponge dinosaur that, if you were just firing at it willy nilly, that it would eventually die. I hope they don't resort to that.
I liked when she started just kind of like tying it up, and you could like see like they shot it, and then you'd have to shoot it again to connect to the ground. And I just thought I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. Yeah, when that trailer like started up, I was like completely I was just like, I don't care about Guerrilla Games. It was like this real story heavy trailer, and I was like zoning out, not paying attention. But then like as soon as the gameplay stuff started up, I was into it. Thought it looked pretty good.
Yeah.
Some of the voiceover in
too
that
much.
trailer was a little heavy-handed.
There's plenty of time to redo that stuff, though.
Yeah. Persona 5, and this ties into something else. I'm very excited for Persona 5.
Yes.
Cannot wait. The only thing about Persona 5 that and this is going to sound weird, but like I had so much fun playing Persona 4 Golden on the Vita that I almost want to play Persona 5 on the Vita, and I guess I can through the streaming thing and the in-home streaming. But I kind of wish it was coming out for Vita, and I mean it's worth noting because we mentioned it about Kinect. I mean Vita, just nothing, man, nothing. They showed it for like a second during
that
one
Final
of the
Fantasy game.
Right, yeah, there was that.
Oh yeah, and then it showed up again. Yeah, you're right.
It was like a sizzle reel, and they like showed the Vita screen, and there was something I don't even remember what the hell game it was on there. It looked like a racing game or something, and then it just went right back to PS4.
I didn't even think it was going to get that, to be honest. I thought there was going to be zero Vita.
Yeah, and I saw some tweets from Axis Games today, and they were basically like had taken a picture of the Sony area of the booth, and they were like, "Man, we wish we had a presence here this year." I mean, they're pumping out games for the Vita, but like, Sony's just legacy system.
Legacy system now. Get it now before it's discontinued.
It's a bummer, man. It's sad. I mean, it's a great little device, and if you love Japanese games, then I mean, you're in heaven because they're just constantly new ones coming out for it. But yeah, Sony just They didn't even. I don't think the word Vita was said. Was it on stage? I don't know.
I don't remember them saying the word once, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Anyway, but so Persona 5, I kind of wish I could play it on Vita a little bit, but I guess I will.
Actually, during their show, or you're just bringing it up because it's a Sony thing? Like, I don't.
It wasn't actually. I don't think. I think it might have shown up in one of the reels, but I don't think it was actually talked about too much. I threw it in there because today Atlas confirmed that it's coming out in 2015.
Okay.
Right.
So post conference, but during E3 it was. So anyway, sorry.
That's all right. Nintendo came out with Star Fox Zero. They also talked a whole lot about Super Mario Maker, some Zelda 3D stuff, which looks like four swords, but basically it's just 3 swords now.
Yeah. 3 swords.
Talked a whole lot about amiibos. Who wrote Metroid Kids on the notes? I love it. There was the Metroid game that There's the Metroid game that everybody was expecting, but didn't expect it to be that.
Those.
Let's sidetrack a little bit here. Phil, tell us about the Metroid game that they did announce here.
So Metroid, what's it really called? Federation. God damn it! We write Metroid Kids. We don't even know the name of it. Metroid Federation Force.
There's already a petition of people. Instead of just not buying the game, there's a petition of people saying that they don't want Nintendo to release the game at all. It's like, come on, really, really, babies. Just don't buy the fucking game.
It's got over 11,000 signatures. I mean,
I'm sorry, but that's just stupid. That's the dumbest thing I've heard today.
So this game, so the reveal, it kind of had like a stealth reveal. So you guys didn't see it, but the Nintendo World Championships were Sunday night, and they were like world premiere, and it was this game called Blast Ball. That's all they said, that it was just called Blast Ball, and I remember when they were playing, I was like, this looks like Metroid Prime. Like, there's just too many similarities. Like, they're locking onto the ball. Just the HUD was very Metroid. And then I guess people actually started to really look into it, and they saw, like, the Galactic Federation crap in the background, and people started connecting the dots that this was a Metroid game. So then they show it on the Nintendo digital event, and we get Metroid Federation. So people, I mean, it's been 5 years since we had a Metroid. People wanted a Metroid. So, like, this is a total... This is a weird thing, man, because it is almost like a troll move, you know? It's just like, here's Metroid, but it's like, but it's like clearly not what people want. But at the same time, like, grow up, you know? Like,
to the people that don't want it, so what? So you don't want it, you know?
Right, you don't want it, don't play it, it's fine. I personally think it doesn't look very good. Not just because it doesn't look like a Metroid game. I just, like, it's not doing it for me. But the guys making it, Next Level Games, those guys have proven themselves. They're the Mario Strikers guys. Mm-hmm. Those are really fun games. They did Punch-Out Wii, which is phenomenal. Luigi's Mansion 2, which was also extremely good. So I mean, these guys got like some cred. Like, I mean, they're not, you know.
It might be decent, but it won't see the market that it deserves.
Yeah, and
that it might deserve, I should say.
Yeah, and these guys are like, I mean, they've proven themselves, and they're a good team, and I think I'm willing to believe it'll be a good game. I don't think it's going to be garbage, and it just sucks that I can't imagine what it feels like over in their office today. Like, I just can't imagine. Like, the morale has to be so low. I don't know. It sucks. It sucks, man. But yeah, Metroid Kids.
And then they also.
It's a tough one.
I like it though. That's a name I think I'm gonna stick with. They talked about the Femblem Fates. Femblem, and then there was Shin Megami Tensei XFE. Although, is it XFE or is it
Cross?
It's Cross FE.
Is that the real name of that game? Shin Megami Tensei Cross FE? That's the actual title of that game?
I think that's like the working kind of thing.
It's so tough to put those. It's, you don't know if it's X or 10 or Cross. But anyway.
It's Cross. Yeah, it's always Cross. Yeah.
Okay, and then Yoshi's Woolly World, which when they kept talking about it, I feel like I've been saying Yoshi improperly for like the past 20 years or whatever. Because the woman in the video, she was saying like Yoshi. I'm like, shoot, Yoshi, I've been calling you the wrong name all these years, dude. Why don't you say something?
Hey, he's Yoshi.
But out of the Nintendo stuff, Star Fox Zero looks awesome. It looks really, really fun.
And people don't think it looks awesome. People
It looks really fun. It's crazy. You're crazy if you don't think it looks fun.
I think it looks good. I'm into it. It's not like has a very like clean look. I feel like it's it's not like very like a graphically heavy game. But I think it looks good. I think it looks fun.
Yeah.
And Platinum's doing it. People have been begging Platinum to do a Star Fox game. So here it is, man.
It lost me for a second when I was watching that, when they like had it transform into like the Velociraptor, and I was like, no. But then they did it again into like a tank, and then there was like a a hovercraft and stuff. I was like, okay, yeah, if we're doing like full on Transformers, let's go for it. That's cool.
The Velociraptor thing was around in Star Fox 2, which never came out.
Right. Oh, so that's right.
Mm-hmm. So that's like an idea they've been kicking around for a long time. So it's cool to like see it come back.
Yep.
But yeah, no, it looks cool. I don't know. I mean, it looks. I'm excited, but
not only was there no word on new Zelda, but they actually said not going to talk about Zelda, and they stuck to that. I was hoping that they were going to back down on it.
I thought that there would be a trailer, even though to me they were saying it's not going to be on the floor, like you're not going to be able to play it.
Yeah,
but
like,
I did think that there was going to be like a trailer.
Yeah. Didn't happen.
But, yeah. Well, they weren't lying. At least they gave you the heads up. Could you imagine if they didn't give you the heads up and there was no Zelda?
Oh yeah, true.
No Zelda and Metroid Kids. It would have been.
That would have been even like I couldn't imagine what would have happened. There would have been riots. They would have had that Iwata puppet, and they would have been like burning it in effigy.
The Iwata Land of Confusion puppet.
Yeah, that let's just talk about the whole digital event for a second, because you can't not talk about it. Like, obviously, it's the most hated thing of E3 from people.
I don't know why. I like Nintendo's presentations. I really do. I much prefer the published and polished presentations versus the screen or the stage crap.
That wasn't the beef people had with it. Their beef was just like there was no surprises. How do you follow up Sony with their their trifecta of legendary game resurrections and
right.
They're in a transitional year. Obviously, this to me, this digital event was just like we're winding down on Wii U and 3DS. We got to make these things last another year and a half at least.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what you're seeing. You're just getting a bunch of filler stuff. Yeah, it's just it is what it is. I mean, Wii U's done, and it failed. They know they're at a point of they know they're not gonna they know they can't compete as far as like a comeback. There's no comeback. All there is satisfying the people that already have one.
Yeah.
So they're in a tough spot.
I am predicting that new Zelda is going to be just like Twilight Princess, where they're going to do both generations, where they'll have one on the Wii, whatever, or ZX or whatever its name is actually going to turn into, and they'll also have one on Wii U. So it'll be one of their cross-generational games.
And if it's not, so the only reason I think that might not happen is because I don't think NX could possibly be out in 2016. Like, I don't think it's possible.
I don't know if Zelda's going to be out in 2016.
Well, that's true. All right.
I mean, they've delayed. When Twilight Princess was originally supposed to come out, I think they delayed that by almost 2 years, to make it come out on the Wii U at the same time. Or the Wii at the same time. I'm sorry,
it got delayed a year because this is actually the 10-year anniversary of our E3 trip.
Wow.
And I played Zelda on GameCube that year because it was supposed to come out that fall, and then it got delayed for the Wii the following year. That was playable. Yeah, this isn't even play. Yeah, you could be right. It might not even be a 2016 game.
Yeah, because all they had was that teaser trailer, man. They've shown nothing else.
Well, let's say if it does come out in 2016, I don't think NX will be out. So that's the only way I could see it releasing. And if it does, I guarantee you it gets like the definitive edition the following year on NX, because there's like the money and resources to put into this game just to put it out on Wii U and no one buy it. Like, I can't fathom that.
Yep. So that was that, and for the first time in a while, it seemed like Nintendo was really leaning on their third party developers in their show, like really showing off the Fire Emblem stuff, really showing off the Shin Megami Tensei stuff. Yeah. Sadly, Nintendo had a bad show. Like I said, I do prefer Nintendo's polished, published, digital events versus like the stage presentation crap.
Yeah, and I actually like, people don't like all that like behind the scenes developer stuff. I thought all that stuff was great. I loved when they were like whipping out the old Super Mario documents and stuff. That to me is just like, oh my god, it's so cool to see that stuff.
I would much rather watch that than some corporate executive dude who has no stage presence whatsoever sit up there trying to tell me about some video game that
To me, that's like something where I could be like, I would like to rewatch this because I would like to see some of the insight. You know what I mean? Like, I would like to flip through it and see some of this insight and all that. Like,
yep,
yeah.
Like, I feel like it's got some substance to it.
The Nintendo stuff feels like it's made for their fans, and the press conferences feel like they're made for the press and for their investors.
Yeah, they're still.
You know what I mean? So, like,
yes.
Yeah. I mean, that's what it is, really. I mean, that's the truth. That's what those press events are for. The fact that we get to watch some streaming and stuff is just kind of like a bonus. But Nintendo's just feels like it's made, like putting stuff in there like that, like showing, like having Miyamoto sitting there flipping through old like sketches of World 1 he did for Super Mario Brothers. I mean, that's just, I mean, that who else is that for than the fans? And I appreciate that. And it's a shame that people don't appreciate that because, I mean, that could be going away, from the industry as a whole,
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's a bummer. Like, it's a bummer that the digital event was underwhelming because everything before that was so like Sunday for a Nintendo fan was so awesome. Like, you had all that Smash Brothers stuff. You had Nintendo World Championships was awesome. Like, that did a great job. Like, I had barely any interest in Mario Maker, as big a Mario fan as I am, but like Nintendo World Championships sold me on that game. I was like, I have to buy this the day it comes out. Like, the way they ended that whole competition with that was so good. If you guys didn't watch that, I would highly recommend just like skipping to the end and watching
Is it up on demand now? It's up on there. Okay, yeah. I do actually still want to watch it. I wasn't able to Sunday night. So yeah, I'll definitely check it out at some point this week.
And they also, like, right before the championships went live, they did the original Earthbound for NES release on Virtual Console, which was like pretty huge. So they had there was a lot of good stuff on Sunday. Sunday was incredible, and then like they just totally dropped the ball on Tuesday, and it's a bummer that like just because they dropped the ball there, people kind of forget all the good that happened leading up to that. But I mean,
that's the internet.
yeah, and it stinks too because I do feel like their end of the year lineup is, I think it's pretty strong. I think they got a lot of good stuff. But that's it. I don't know what else.
Yeah, well, you've got Star Fox, Mario Maker, Woolly World, all coming in at the end of the year. You've got the Zelda on the 3DS stuff, the Hyrule Warriors, and Three Swords, or whatever the hell it's called, this year. You've got
Hyrule Warriors is 16.
Oh, is it? I'm sorry. Okay.
Sorry.
Bad. Animal Crossing, you've got that game, which apparently is now, I found out, the one for Wii U, the Animal Crossing Party, or whatever. There's a 3DS game that's coming out, and then there's the Animal Crossing Party. Apparently that's free.
Yeah.
The game, there's some conflicting stuff, because apparently Amazon already put up a pre-order page for it, and they have it at $60 with just a logo on a box. So, but then later in the day, people at E3 were saying that it's a free game, and you just buy the amiibos or the amiibo cards that are required to play the characters in the game. So that's kind of a weird idea, but Nintendo's been kind of dabbling with weird shit like that lately, like with the Pokemon Shuffle game and stuff like that.
God.
I mean, I have to imagine that if the game is free, it at least comes with one or two characters you can play as. Otherwise, what are you just going to download a game and you can't play it at all? I don't think there's enough details to make an exact call, but I mean, dude, they're pushing the amiibos. That's just what it is. I mean, I'm glad to see them have something that's successful and selling. The fact that they're kind of teaming up with Skylanders, I thought was interesting. The fact that they're allowing some of their characters to be used in a Skylanders game. Yeah. Since when Amiibo was announced, kind of the kind of the brush off that people did. Oh, it's Nintendo Skylanders, but it's kind of cool that they're working with Skylanders and actually, had developed a figure that could kind of be used for both. You flip the thing around on the bottom, and then it could be used for amiibo, or then it could be put on the Skylanders portal thing. I mean, whatever. I'm not Skylanders' target audience, but I've played a little bit of those games, and they're actually not bad games. They're pretty solid little like dungeon crawler type games for kids. They're not terrible. So
cool.
I think it's cool. Well, at least they have something that's successful. I mean, Jesus Christ! After the Wii or Wii U, I'm just happy to see that they're making some money again.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, and not on the list here, Xenoblade is also out this year, which is
God,
so, I mean, so they got a good lineup. I mean, I don't know. It's a bummer.
Xenoblade, man. I really, really want to play that game, but at the same time, I really do want to have a Wii U, but it's tough to sell on my wife on the idea of, hey, can I buy another console? Kind of thing.
Yeah, and especially since it's so much money still.
It really is. It really is a good investment, and it's also a space investment on top of your desktop or whatever. And I pray that game gets put onto another console. I don't care which one, but I hope it gets somewhere else. Yeah. Oh well.
And the other thing too is this lineup. They basically showed this last year, so that's the other like disappointment factor. Is like a lot of these games were all last year, so
or in various directs.
Yeah,
right.
And that's the other thing.
I like their directs. Their
directs are great. And the thing is the fact that they put them out so frequently is their directs have kind of taken the piss out of E3 for Nintendo, because it's like
I think you've had take the piss out of E3 for a lot of people. It's like come on, Sony and everybody else, why are you guys doing this too?
Yeah, well, Sony did do their thing back in, what was that, in December or November? They did that PlayStation event. It was like
oh, right.
I remember that now, yeah.
It was like they took kind of a cue from Blizzard with their kind of just for their company kind of convention. So, maybe we'll see a lot more of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts on Nintendo before we move on to Square, who I think, really blew everybody away?
Now go to Square.
Square announced Kingdom Hearts 3, finally. Nier 2, which is going to be put, that one kind of came out of nowhere, but it's going to be put together by Platinum Games. No other information about it.
Platinum Games making everything.
Platinum right? Platinum, all the things.
We know of four games. Nier, Star Fox, Scalebound, which wasn't at this show at all, and that Transformers game.
Mm-hmm.
The Nier 2, I think it said that it had the same director as Metal Gear Revengeance.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so that's really one of the big reasons why I keep my eye on that one. Just Cause 3, I think everybody was really surprised about how really awesome that looks. The FF7 remake, and then World of Final Fantasy, which is sort of a cutesy Final Fantasy game that they're putting out, and then Hitman. They're dropping the subtitles and the numbers, and they're just going back to Hitman, as though just calling Tomb Raider wasn't confusing enough, and people weren't.
Tomb Raider had to be at their show, right? Was Tomb Raider there?
Yeah, Tomb Raider 2. Yep, you're right.
That looks really good, by the way. We haven't commented on Tomb Raider.
It does.
I didn't play the last one, but
it was.
I thought that looked good.
You should check it out. You could get that during a Steam sale or something, probably for less than $10.
God, you could probably get it used on PS3. Let me see.
Probably, honestly,
that's super cheap.
That last Tomb Raider game was really, really good. Yeah, it was a lot better than I think many people were expecting. Kingdom Hearts 3. I've never been a Kingdom Hearts fan. I played the first one a little bit, but this one actually looks really nice.
I love those games.
Yeah, that's all Steve.
Cool. I mean, it's a weird thing. I am excited, but it kind of goes to the same thing as like Last Guardian or whatever. Like it's been, I mean, an entire console generation happened between Kingdom Hearts 2 and 3, and not only a console generation, but the longest console generation yet happened from Kingdom Hearts 2 until now. I don't think we're going to see Kingdom Hearts 3 any sooner than 2017.
It's crazy.
Like, which is blows my mind. But yeah, I love those games. So what they showed of the in-game combat and everything looked really awesome. So I'm not a big fan of like the side games, so I don't count. So if anyone's watching and they're like, well, what about Dream Drop Distance or whatever? I don't shit about those games at all.
So much.
I'm not like that into the. I'm not that into like the lore of those games. I really just kind of prefer the proper games. I don't like when they start getting into like card combat systems and shit. I just want the numbered games. So yeah,
It does look good. It looks good enough that I think I'm going to try it again.
Yeah, well, I think they just re-released 1 and 2 as PS3 HD remix ones.
Cool.
So you can always probably find them probably relatively cheap somewhere if you wanted to go back, or else break out the PS2
And I feel like Final Fantasy 15 is never coming out either.
Oh,
Did they
God.
show? I don't even remember.
It wasn't even shown.
Wow.
All they're doing is like updating the demo. Which to me is like, are you guys making the game or are you making the demo? What are you doing? What are you?
Well, the actual game is only like 10 minutes longer than the demo. No.
I guess so. Like, updating a demo. I mean,
How long do you have to play it until it gets good? That's what I want to know.
Yeah.
Do you have to play it for 22 hours and then it gets good? Is that? I'm sorry, I'm being a cynical prick
Yes.
about
But
it.
at least they're taking fan feedback into account when making this,
see, that's
without
cool.
getting out of control. You know.
Yeah, that's the thing that like kind of scares me about that game though. Is like they release this demo and then they're taking fan feedback. They're like instantly implementing that. They're making these updates to a demo, but then it's like, well, what's going on with the rest of the game, guys? Like seriously, like what does this do when you make like a change like this? How does that affect the rest of your game?
Yeah.
Like, at what point did Square just decide? Like, when did they get it into their head that like they can't, like, just making an RPG isn't good enough? Like somehow like they decided like people just don't like RPGs anymore, but obviously they do because there's all these great ones coming out. And I mean, I guess they just felt like the turn-based system that went from all the way up to 10 got to be too formulaic or whatever, and then they wanted to change it up, but
Right.
yeah.
Well, they also announced the Tokyo RPG Factory, right? Isn't that what it was called? The studio. They announced a new IP.
Yeah, I remember that, but they didn't. There was like really nothing else to it.
Right.
It was a pretty neat little it was an interesting little demo that they did, and it's got me interested. But beyond them saying like we've got a new studio to do a new IP and it's going to be very Japanese.
Another 2017 thing.
Yeah, that's so far down the line. It's barely
yeah.
even worth mentioning. The world of Final Fantasy, even though it was like super cutesy, that also has me very interested. Like all of their games, I can honestly say all of their games I want to play. I think they had one of the stronger shows after Bethesda. I would say Square Enix was probably one of my other favorite games or their favorite shows. Because like Kingdom Hearts 3, like I said, I wasn't really a big fan of the other Kingdom Hearts, but I want to play it. Nier 2 has me excited. Just Cause 3 looks great. It's going to be huge. I mean, they're embracing the wacky as well, so it should be fun as well. And they were even saying like they're taking a cue from like the modders and stuff like that to into what they're going to be doing with Just Cause 3. So I mean that's great. And then Hitman, it's going to be a stealth game. I love stealth games. What could go wrong?
I've been wanting to get into one of those games. What do you recommend? Was it good? Without getting too far off, what do you think? I noticed they were on sale and stuff on Steam. So
are they? This is the first year that I have not paid attention to the Steam sales at all. I don't know. I don't know. All of them. Get them all.
All of them. Get them
Buy
all.
them all. Just dump them.
Hitman bundle.
Do the
$19.99.
Do the Steam sale thing and just go.
I'm gonna go check out right now. Just hold on a second.
I guarantee you, there's a Hitman collection for like $20.
Probably is. There probably is.
Every Hitman. How many Hitmans are there? Like
all the Hitmans.
8? Probably 1 million Hitmen.
I'm actually trying to bring up Steam now to check it out. But any final thoughts on Square Enix before we move on to the PC gaming show? I'm doing heavy quotes on that, by the way.
At least they had a show, I guess. I guess that's cool that they came together.
It's a great idea. Well,
DC show sucked. I didn't watch it. I don't know.
I watched it.
No, it wasn't terrible. It had some pretty. It was very kind of like, it was not buttoned up at all. It was just kind of like, it had kind of like a goofy vibe to it, and it was very laid back, and that was good. That was fine. I think it's a little disingenuous calling it even a PC gaming show, as it was really like, it was the AMD showcase, kind of, you know what I mean?
So, it was.
Okay.
no Valve, obviously no Nvidia, no Intel. Riot Games not there. I mean, a lot of like kind of big players in current PC games. No, nothing from like Good Old Games or CD Projekt Red or
Nothing from Paradox Interactive. Like, I mean, well, actually, there was something from Paradox Interactive. Pillars of Eternity came out, and I think one of the guys from Paradox came out.
Yeah, they're going to be working with Obsidian for future content or something like that.
But there was nothing about, like, Mountain Blade 2, which really should have been there. For Soma, they were like, hey, here's fucking Soma, and then moved on. And it's like, here were these, like, really good PC-centric games that they could have focused more on, but instead they were like, oh, here's some gameplay, but we're totally going to talk over top of all of it.
Right.
Yeah.
It was too loose. It was too long.
It was way too long. It was 2.5 hours long.
And all the interesting content was at the end. And I don't mean, like, they came out of the gates with basically nothing. But the really interesting stuff was definitely towards the end. There was a game that they announced called Planet Coaster, which looked really, it's promising to be pretty good. Like, some of the Roller Coaster Tycoon devs are working on another Tycoon simulator game.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
They focused a little bit on Deus Ex, which was nice to see because Square had talked about it, but like they talked about it almost a little bit more at the PC Gaming Show, and I wasn't that sold on it from Square, but like now I really want to check it out because of the PC Gaming Show. And one of the other big announcements that they kind of came out and said was like this might have been one of the very last things, but one of the dudes that works on No Man's Sky said that the PC version is going to be released day one with PlayStation 4. So yeah, it was way too long.
No Man's Sky is like the most ambitious, boring game I've ever seen.
I am with you, and go ahead, Steve.
I was just going to say a little more information. I was with you until a few hours ago. A little more information starting to come out on that game. They're starting to talk about crafting and stuff like that, and it sounds like there's a game there. It sounds very Minecraft-ish. In the things that I loved about Minecraft, playing like survival mode, but kind of put into this big space world.
So the way this is what I take. This is how the game works. So I think so. Correct. I want you to like correct me and guide me here. So the way I feel like it works is they said there's like a center of the universe. They want you to get to the center of the universe. Sounds like when you start this game, you're just in a random location away from the center of the universe, and it seems like you just kind of have to planet hop to get there, and you can only go so far to hop to a planet, and I guess you need to like land, survive, rebuild, get fuel or whatever, go to the next planet. Is that kind of the deal here?
Yeah, and as you explore and build and stuff, you like learn things, and I guess your character kind of like evolves and levels, and then there's these beacons, and he was kind of getting to that when he was demoing it during the Sony thing, but then he kind of got cut off, and so like you got to get to these beacons because the beacon is kind of like your checkpoint. Like, you got to get to these checkpoints, and that kind of saves your progress. And if you die, then you lose everything you had done, which, is similar to how
And is there an online element to where everybody else that's playing is hitting all these planets, and there's a chance that somebody might hit that planet that you're on? And
Yep. But I'm not sure, like, how...
You can't actually see them. Maybe it's more like you see messages or whatever, that they've been there. Right?
I'm not sure about that. They haven't actually shown anything like that I'm aware of, that I have seen anyway. So maybe you actually see other people in the planets and stuff, or maybe it's more like a Dark Souls thing where like people leave notes and
or like a Miiverse type thing.
Yeah,
I was thinking,
which is very similar. Did you ever end up playing Dark Souls? I don't remember.
No, I didn't.
Well, it's very similar to like how the Miiverse thing works, like what you're saying. Yeah, it's kind of it's neat how From has done that for those games. But so it sounds kind of similar to that. And you can like name things and kind of like leave your mark on the planets, and then like if I do that and you go there, you would see the stuff I had done. But I don't know how it works with like servers and stuff. I'm not really sure about that yet. Like, I don't know if it's
that's
obviously
still up there.
Yeah, like if it's a thing where like I can host my own No Man's Sky server. And then like I have like 100-person server, and then like I can put my IP out there, and people can come and join my server or whatever. Or if it's something where it's like a hosted thing, and it's I don't really, I mean, hosted by like Sony hosts like the No Sky servers through the PSN or whatever. Or I just don't know. I haven't really heard anything about that yet.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of that's gonna be. It'll be interesting to see like if they do let you do those different things for like the PC version versus like the PlayStation 4 version. So, I'm with you, Phil. It could be so boring. You know, this is like one of those things where it has so much potential. It's either going to be just awesome or just a boring mess. It can look great, but just, you know, not play really great.
I'm really interested in it, though. I mean, like, I don't know if I want to play it, but I'm interested, like, I don't know, just to see how it's received, how it comes out. And it would be cool if it's good, you know?
Yeah. I want it to be good, but I'm not going to be one of those. There's already apologist people out there who are like, oh, it's going to be the greatest thing ever. You don't know. This could be terrible, you know, but, yeah.
It is, if nothing else, it's encouraging kind of for the direction of the industry as a whole to see a game like this to be getting so much exposure and, you know, up on Sony's stage, you know, and then it's just cool that's happening.
Is this getting like a retail release? Is this like or is it just download?
Probably will.
I would think.
It seems big enough to where like it could like.
If they're going to be putting it on a console, I'm assuming they probably will. I would bet that Sony would be like, hey, we want you to put a disc release of this out, even though it's probably going to mandate being online all the time.
Right.
Yep.
But that's a good point, Steve. You know, it is helping push the industry in a different and hopefully better direction.
Yeah.
Right. Which is why I would like to see it turn out good and succeed.
Yeah.
Microsoft announced Killer Instinct and the Gears Ultimate are both coming to Windows 10, along with Fable Legends, which is also coming to Windows 10 in August.
Which is going to be a free-to-play game.
Just put Fable to death.
Seriously, just put it down. Just take it out back and
kill it.
Yeah,
well, I mean, Fable Legends. I mean, I'm not a fan of the Fable proper games or whatever. I did not really enjoy any of those. I tried 1 and 2, and then I gave up on 3. But this one looks pretty different. I mean, it's not, you know, it's in that kind of thematic universe, but it's not like a Fable game. But it's more like their it's like their MOBA, kind of like a battle arena type game.
Fair enough.
But whatever, it's coming out. So that what I was saying earlier about Microsoft's kind of like Phil Spencer came out, you know, and sat down, and then he brought out some of the guys who were working on these other projects to talk about them. So it was cool. It was nice to see Microsoft kind of throwing their hat back into the PC ring.
Phil Spencer, by the way, I'm sorry. I keep cutting you guys off tonight. I'm so sorry.
Fine.
Like the best face Xbox has ever had. He obviously has turned everything around since he got his promotion and all. I just wanted to throw that out there.
Yeah. I'm with you 100%. I think had he been out there, you know, more in the forefront at the beginning of the Xbox One as it was presented, you know, I think it might be in a very different place than it is right now. But things are looking up, things are improving, so it's good. And who knows, I may even end up buying one at some point, but we'll see.
You will. You
know, I am thinking about buying that. I might just buy that rare collection and stick it on my shelf.
I know, like I want to. I can't even play it. I just want to go buy it.
Just to have it.
Just because if I do end up getting one at some point, like towards the end of its life cycle when the price drops, then that game at that point might be hard to find. It might be one of those ones that's going for like $90 on eBay or Amazon.
True. Cliff Bleszinski came out. A very humble Cliff Bleszinski came out, and he was talking about his Project Blue Streak, which honestly I found him to be pretty interesting to listen to because he was talking about what he was talking about, like what he was developing versus like what he would has developed in the past, and you know what he was developing when he was younger. And it was pretty interesting, and he, of course he was very pro, you know, Gears coming out, even though he has nothing to do with the project anymore. But it'll be neat to see what he puts forward.
Yeah, it should be cool. I'd like to see what comes. I mean, people, he's kind of a polarizing figure in the industry. People love him or hate him.
Right.
But I mean, you can't deny the fact that the dude has like a career behind him that's just like, I mean, we can only dream of having that kind of pedigree, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Overall, like I said, I thought the PC gaming show was sort of a hot mess. It could have been great. There was a lot of material there to make it great, but it was just it was too everywhere. You know, I hope they try to do it again, and I hope they do lessons. I hope they do a lessons learned after this one.
Yeah, that's why I'm hesitant to badmouth it too badly, because I wanted to see them try again and keep doing it and revise it, and hopefully I want to see PC gaming have the thing that was neat about it is it a lot of games getting shown that like you just never really hear about at E3, like with the Total War Warhammer one that they showed off.
Right.
Like without this showcase, I mean, when else would you have seen that at E3? I mean, never. They're probably tucked away in like one of those like cubicle like booths, you know, like back behind the actual convention hall.
Well, especially since Sony or Sega was like, yeah, we're not doing a show this year.
Yeah.
You know, so it was a good place for them to at least dump their stuff.
Yeah.
Sega wasn't even on the. They weren't even on the floor.
I don't think
there?
I think they decided to not do a floor show this year. It could have been. I could be totally mistaken, but I remember somebody, a big gun out there, saying that they weren't going to be doing a show floor this year, and I thought it was Sega. Because doing those show floors, man, people don't realize how expensive that crap is. Just renting out the show space, the floor space, then developing like the booths to put all that crap together. And, you know, and then those convention centers charge you through the nose just for the electricity, you know. So, yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah. So it was. Yeah, you're right. It was a bit of a mess, but I hope that it continues, because obviously PC gaming is in kind of like a renaissance right now, you know, it's important that it be part of E3. So
yeah.
I hope.
Yeah, and I was happy that Killer Instinct got announced for PC, because I've been like dying to play Killer. I just want to try it. You know,
I just want
to play.
I think it's awesome. It's awesome. It's coming out, and apparently, so now it's cross-buy. So like, as a free game, right? You just kind of buy the characters.
Yeah.
So like, I guess the way it works is like, if you bought the characters on Xbox and then you put it on your Windows machine, then all your characters
that's good.
Transfer over to to the Windows version. Yeah. So that's awesome. Really happy. I mean, dude, Microsoft. The reason why I even bought the original Xbox was because I was so pumped that Microsoft was kind of like really getting into games, and it was like they were bringing the PC experience to your living room, and that was kind of the original vision of the Xbox.
The Xbox, the direct Xbox.
Right, before it turned into like a.
That's why it was called the Xbox.
Right, before it, you know, turned into like your video streaming and your DVR and all this other shit that they put into it, and your football watching machine. You know, that's what it was. It was PC gaming brought to the living room, and so, you know, that seeing them kind of going full circle back to PC gaming, it's nice to see, and I'm actually really excited for Windows 10. Surprisingly, as I've stayed with 7. I skipped 8.
I did too. I signed up for the free upgrade to 10.
Yeah, I'm all set. So it says like when it's available, it's just gonna like download it and get my machine ready to install it. So I'm interested in that. I mean, so.
All right, well, we should probably wrap this up. We originally planned to shoot for an hour, but we're actually looking close to 2. But I'm okay with that. There was a lot to talk about.
There's one last thing that's in the random stuff at the very end before we completely wrap up is the Metal Gear Solid 5 Phantom Pain final trailer.
I didn't watch it.
You didn't?
Are you shit me? You really did not watch it? I can't believe that.
I didn't watch it on purpose. Because
you've seen so much of the game already.
I've seen so much of it, and I don't want to see anymore. Like, I just like, and I know I want to play it one day, and I don't need to see it because like I know I want to play it.
It was just so weird for an E3 with a Metal Gear game about to come out. And not to have Kojima there, not to have it up on the stage. Dude, it was just, you know, I'm sorry, I'm going to go back to the cursing for a second, but those motherfuckers, Konami, man, I will never, ever buy another Konami game after Metal Gear Solid 5. I'm done. That company is dead to me. Yeah. I don't care what they come out with.
Yeah.
I'll never buy another Metal Gear game that doesn't have Kojima attached to it. This is it for me. I'm out.
I heard the Dorito Pope showed Jeff Cayley. He debuted the trailer.
He did, yeah. Kojima,
and I heard he got like emotional, like when the camera cut back to him, he was like actually upset. I want to see that.
You got to watch the trailer. You go watch it. Just don't worry about it. Watch the trailer because you'll see why he got emotional, and
All right.
And you got to watch the trailer.
I'll watch it after this.
Before
As soon as we get done, I'll watch it.
Before we do our final thoughts, who do you think Kojima's going to go to? Because somebody's going to scoop him up. He's too big of a name to just let float out
I'm gonna go to Kickstarter.
No.
Yeah, well, I think so. Japan, they're in a pretty interesting spot. I mean, this could be a whole topic, so I don't really want to get too into it. But like, Japanese developers, them turning to Kickstarter is a pretty new thing, and like between the
Castlevania guy.
Yeah, Castlevania and the Mighty Number 9 stuff. Like, it's cool to see them embracing this and breaking away from big companies. So, Kickstarter seems to be where he'll probably lay low for 2 years or so, but
yeah,
you'll see him come back with something like that.
I would say where I don't want him to wind up would be Capcom.
Oh yeah.
He's not.
No, I
he's
know.
gotta be. He's gotta be. Well, the other thing is Kojima's probably like a millionaire. I would hope.
He probably
He's
never has to work another day in his life.
He's probably loaded, so he could totally just take his time, do his own thing.
Him and Cliff Bleszinski are kind of like buddies, so he could always end up at Cliff's studio.
That would actually be pretty cool. I'm not gonna lie. That would be
kind of a mind blower right there.
That would be pretty neat if that ever happened. But
yeah.
All right. So final thoughts on E3. Steve, you go first.
I mean, I think it was a pretty great E3. There was a lot of stuff announced, and that's cool, and it was exciting, and there were some bombshells, and I mean that's really what you want from E3. It's like we said, like it kind of feels kind of antiquated. It's everything's so condensed into this one like 3 to 4 day period of the year when like we're living in this world where like we're all connected to the internet, and these announcements can be rolling out all the time.
Yeah.
So it's kind of
leaks leading up to E3 almost got more attention than some of the games that were actually shown at E3.
Exactly. Yeah. So I mean, but overall, I think it was really cool, and there was a lot of good stuff shown. My biggest gripe with this year's E3, if I had to give a negative, would be that I feel like so much stuff was announced that it was basically like this year's E3 is a teaser for next year's E3. Okay. We're seeing teasers for things that we're going to see more of next year, and I feel like, and maybe I'm just old and stupid and I'm remembering things wrong, but I feel like E3 used to be like it was in the spring or the beginning of the summer, and you see everything that's going to come out in the holiday. And that was like the hype. Like things are announced, and now they're coming out like in 5 to 6 months, and it just doesn't feel like that's how it is anymore. It just feels like it's just building little bits. I don't have the patience anymore for a game that's not going to come out for like 18 to 36 months. You know what I mean?
Right. So like what Bethesda did with Fallout is like the ideal scenario.
They nailed it for me. Yeah. Like I said, I felt very. At the end of the Bethesda conference, I felt very satisfied and happy. So that's about it for me.
Phil, what about you? Final thoughts?
A really good show, much better than last year. Current gen's finally, like, to me, looking like a noticeable improvement, like graphically over last gen. I think even though Sony had the most exciting show, they also, at the same time, it was a lot of smoke and mirrors. It's like they really don't have anything for themselves. They're exclusives. They don't have many exclusives. Mm-hmm. A lot of the the Final Fantasy VII reveal is cool, but PlayStation first, which means it's going to be on Xbox One eventually. You know what I mean? So
and
it's
possibly
like
PC. The way that Square's going, it's possible that it's going to be on PC.
Oh yeah,
it definitely is. Yeah, I believe it said it. I think Square said it in their thing. Right. I thought
Shenmue also PC confirmed for that too. So it's just like so. I mean, they had a good show. They had a great show, but I don't know. I mean, I think maybe Microsoft was secretly a little stronger as far as like as far as their first party lineup and all, and their exclusives. But I thought it was a good E3. I thought it was better than last year.
Cool. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
definitely.
I could agree with that. I think it was a really good E3, better than last year for sure. Like I said, it was a games-centric year, so that always kind of makes it exciting instead of like the console-centric kind of years, or we swear we're gonna have games come out on our console. Just give us some time. Now we're actually starting to see the games come out. I think out of all the shows, I think Bethesda was probably my favorite. They had a couple of games that they were talking about, like that Team Fortress 2 Melee looking game. I had like no interest in, but the rest of their titles I thought were pretty good. Square Enix probably my second favorite out of the show. Nintendo, sadly, least favorite of the show because it feels like they've already got 1.5 feet out the door with the Wii U, and that's kind of sad. But a lot of really neat games coming out.
Biggest tragedy since Dreamcast is Wii U, man.
At least they had the Wii. You know what, though? Honestly, at least they had the Wii going into it. You know, if they didn't have the successful Wii going into it, then this would have been the end of Nintendo. Like, if they went GameCube to Wii U, then Nintendo would be done. You know, so at least they had the Wii, love it or hate it, you know, at least it had, you know, the Wii to keep them afloat. And whether or not you like or dislike Nintendo products, at least they keep the you know, the game industry interesting, you know, because everything else is multi-platform and, you know.
It's crazy, too, like, again, another topic for a whole other thing. I know we want to hang up, but when you look at these shows and you look at Sony, you look at Microsoft, remove all the third-party stuff, and you just put their exclusives, it's like nothing compared to what Nintendo's doing by themselves. Like, it's just crazy. Like, they're doing this by themselves. Like, it's insane. Like, how can they do it? It's impossible.
You know, I was kind of surprised that Nintendo didn't talk more about what they were possibly going to be doing with mobile, because they were talking before that mobile was a thing that they were toying with. I was kind of glad to see that they weren't like, yay, go mobile, everything.
Well, they also said they weren't going to talk about that. That was another. Yeah. It was another, like, we're not talking about mobile at this show.
Yeah. Square actually had some neat mobile-looking stuff. The Lara Croft mobile game looked kind of nice.
That did look pretty decent. Yeah.
And with Fallout, the Fallout Shelter game, that also looked kind of nice. It's almost like people are trying to turn mobile into a legitimate platform instead of just a freemium dumping ground. So we'll see. Yeah. But that's it. That's all I got on E3 this year. Good year.
Yeah. Cool stuff.
Guys, thanks for coming and hanging out tonight. It's been a while. Hopefully we get to do this again soon.
Yeah.
Thanks everybody for watching. No, it's been 2 hours. I hope you enjoyed the show. And sorry about lack of content recently. Like I said, I was I had work deadlines and then went on vacation and then came back to more work deadlines. And then going up to work those deadlines was like Witcher 3, which is like an 85-hour marathon. So hopefully going to be getting back into reviewing games again. But thanks everybody. Have a good night.
All right, good night.
Good night.